Within the UMH rules, there are two separate divisions for driving. One is the fine harness class, and the other is the pleasure driving class. They are very distinctly different classes. The fine harness class is where we see the horse pulling a four-wheeled vehicle. The horse has a light harness, usually without breeching, has a martingale, and the horse is shown, of course, by one person being in the vehicle. On the rail, the horse performs basically as a park or a classic horse. This horse showing more brilliance, more animation. The horse being set up in the bridle, being flexed at the pole, being driven forward as the horse performs the three gaits of the trail walk, show gait, and pleasure gait. Animation is to be expected in this class. The horses should perform with pride and presence, with lots of quality in movement. The horses are brought to the center of the ring at the conclusion of the class and are not asked to back, primarily due to the fact they are hitched to a four-wheel vehicle. They are to stand up quietly and be evaluated on their conformation and quality as a mountain horse. Headers are permitted in this class, but the headers should be properly attired and stand a good 6 to 10 feet away from the horse, being there in case there is a need for stabilizing the horse. The second division within the driving section of the UMH rules is the pleasure driving horse. The pleasure driving horse essentially is a horse that may be shown to a two- or four-wheel vehicle. The horse will perform the trail walk, the show gait, and the pleasure gait, as we see in all the other divisions. The horse should be more relaxed and not the same animated animal that we see in the fine harness classes. And yet the horse should perform with lots of quality and presence as it moves forward at all three gaits. The horse should be slightly up in the bridle, showing some relaxation of the head and neck without a heavy contact between the horse's mouth and the driver's hands. A whip is required for all exhibitors in the class, whether it's carried in the driver's hand or in the whip holder. The purpose of the whip is to be an aid in helping the driver to control the horse, even turn the horse by touching the horse on the shoulder. While performing, the horses should remain in form. The horse should stay up in the bridle, regardless of what the gait, showing the same collection and same degree of sensitivity and responsiveness throughout the class. At the conclusion of the class, the horses should be lined up, and they should be asked to back 3 to 4 steps, demonstrating the responsiveness necessary for a pleasure driving horse. The pleasure driving horse should be a pleasure to drive, remembering that this horse should be attentive to the rider's commands throughout the entire class. So now let's take a closer look at the driving horse. As we see the horse, we will be putting it in real time, and then we'll also be slow-moing the horse so that you can compare it with the background. And we'll be talking about the amount of elevation, flexation of the knee and hock, as well as the length of stride. Now, as we're watching this horse perform, I want you to pay particular attention to the footfall sequence first to make sure that it is a natural 4-beat gait. We want to see that the left hind, left 4, right hind, right 4 are all falling in a lateral sequence, demonstrating the natural 4-beat gait of a mountain horse. Left hind, left 4, right hind, right 4. And then we can start to evaluate the amount of knee and hock action once that we've established the footfall sequence. Using the backdrop and the horizontal red lines, continue to watch the horse move forward. You will notice that the horse is elevating above the top red line at the knee, and yet there is a sweeping swing of the hind leg as it comes forward with a limited amount of flexation of the hock, and yet the horse has sufficient amount of impulsion from the hindquarters to be driving the horse forward as it pulls the vehicle on a reasonably loose rein. This horse is not tight in the bridle, and yet it has a natural head carriage where it is looking through the bridle, it is collected, it's flexed at the pole, and seems to be enjoying its work. As you watch this horse, especially at the pleasure gate, this horse does begin to show us a great deal of animation and movement, which we must compliment the horse on its ability, but we also must realize that in a pleasure driving class that we would prefer not to see this much animation. In fact, the horse would be better adapted for the fine harness class should the horse perform these gaits and the quality of these gaits in that class. Now we want you to listen to this horse's movement as he passes by the banner. You will hear a natural 4-beat footfall sequence as that horse travels past it. Listen carefully so you can learn to coordinate the sound of the beat with what your eye is seeing. One aspect of judging that we really must take into consideration is the transition of the horse from a pleasure gait down to a trail walk. And the example that we have on the screen now shows a horse that has the presence and quality to be driving forward, and then when asked, the horse responds almost immediately. You can see as the horse changes its body posture, descending down to the natural trail walk. On a loose rein, notice how the driver's reins are actually loose and swinging as the horse moves forward. The check in itself is loose, although we'd like to see the horse with his head more to the right, looking forward. We have to compliment this horse on the execution of the downward transition, that it was actually quite rapid. It was smooth overall, and the horse continued to move forward at the entire time, did not come to a stop, did not pause, but continued moving forward from the pleasure gate into the trail walk on a very loose, responsive rein. And this is what we want to see, this type of transition in our driving horses.